Welcome, everyone. It's Nick Michalak and the
The what? What now?
the exceptional Steve Frazier.
Well, I appreciate that.
And hopefully you guys have caught up by now with Saw 1 and Saw 2 with our commentary series, because obviously it's Saw 3 today.
Right, yeah.
And this is just the standard unrated cut, because I think this one also has the director's cut type of stuff going on. So guys, if you just have like the regular 7/8 film Blu-ray set, that's the version we're watching, just like it's about 113 minutes long thereabouts. So just here syncing up with the right stuff so it measures up with our stuff. So guys, let's get up on this. We'll get a countdown. I'm really screwing it up this day. But anyway, so we'll get you synced up with a countdown. Hope you get your subtitles turned on so we can get going here. So in 3, 2, 1, play.
All right. Here we go.
Got all distracted.
Yeah, it's fine. It's the third one. This is,
I'm going to get plenty confused already.
Right,
so.
Right. It's confusing. You're confused. It's late in the day. I don't know. We're fine. Just, buckle in and...
52 weeks later.
All right, so this is exact 52?
I believe so. Yeah, I think they're all just like generally exactly
the
like
same weekend?
Mid-October or something like that.
Yep. I always kind of thought it was weird when people put out a movie like on Halloween, because you didn't have...
Right. Well, you get the big box office, it's like, okay...
But now you're over it.
Right, and then people start getting into like, okay, the family films and stuff like that, and the animated stuff coming out. I was like, the temperature changes. That's why, like, a lot of the Halloween films in that franchise usually come out like late September or right at the beginning of October. So
right.
Like, give it a couple weeks.
That's a great move.
Give it a couple weeks to be in the mood and come back a couple times.
Unless it's bad, and then you're kind of dead in the water.
Well,
but
you're screwed anyway.
If it's good, then here we've got
screwed just like old Wahlberg here.
Yeah.
He's in the shit right now.
Yep. I was out this morning and I drove right down near his house. I was going to take the detour and go in and actually peep the front door, but I was like, I know it's right there, so I won't. And that crazy bitch might be out in the front yard.
Get her instead.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, she's just crazy. It's not the end of the world, but from what I hear, they give out full-size candy bars at Halloween if you trick-or-treat at their house. So, hey.
They can afford it, I'm sure.
I would assume so.
He's made lots of money.
He has.
For a long time.
And
he's hanging tough right now.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Had to slip one in
Love
somewhere.
Love it. That's great, by the way. I have seen him perform.
Okay.
With his band. So. Yes. Anyway, so here is.
It's a good opening. I like the opening. There's a lot of things I like about this film, but there's a lot of comparisons to make between the second film and the tonal approach of this one.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell that it's the same director.
Go
ahead.
Don't want to jump too far into it, but it's like there's a lot of quality that seems a little bit more... They learned a little bit more about how to make the film in terms of technical quality. I think this one's a little bit better technically shot in a certain way. I like the cinematography and the way it's presented in the second film, which felt a little average, a little kind of like utilitarian. All right.
Oh, Dr. Gordon's foot. It's interesting how they kind of left the second one. Like, I guess in theory you could have ended it there. Like,
sure.
I mean...
She locks the door on him, and you could just infer the same thing you probably thought about Adam in the first film, that he rots in there.
Yeah. Which, oh my god, I don't know if that would be a terrible way to go.
Oh, yeah.
Just to sit and die of
weeks,
hunger and whatever.
Probably weeks at end, I mean.
Well, there. Speaking of Adam. So I do think it's interesting that they kind of picked this one up right where the other one leaves off.
I mean, I like this whole scene. This is a really solid piece of work. I like the... I like the fact that it's like he's not in that emotional state to do the Saw off the foot thing, but now he's going to just... The only other way he can come about it is to, like, break his ankle to be able to slip it through.
Right. Which, why the doctor in the first one didn't think of that, I don't know, but...
Well...
oh my god. Like, I mean, come on.
I don't... Here's a poll question.
We haven't done a poll in a while.
Which method, saw the foot off or smash the ankle, would you be more pragmatic about possibly doing to yourself?
All right.
Can you saw it off, or you can just live with the limp for the rest of your life?
That is not good right there, by the way. I don't even know if you would limp for the rest of your life. I feel like you could come back from that after 6 months.
Regardless, I mean, just the fact that... Which pain do you think you could psych yourself more up into?
I think the broken foot would be much easier. Because I don't know if you would need to smash it with the lid of a toilet in order to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Police. They're in their best My Bloody Valentine cosplay here.
Yes. Now we're very
available in the archives now if you want to go back and listen.
Now we're very early into it. Does this film state, like, where we pick up right in this scene? Does there any point say how long it's been since Wahlberg got locked up in there at the end of the second film?
Well, as we know, that this whole entire franchise plays on the idea that
it's like a shell game with the timeline.
Right, you don't know. Shell game's a great point.
Yeah.
Let me, while we're talking here,
I didn't pick up anything about how much the passage of time, because I think her hair's grown out a bit since the events of the second, so that's kind of the only thing that... Hers and Amanda's hair grew out far more than what they were in the second film.
Sure.
So, that was the only thing that was making me contemplate the passage of time.
I'm gonna check my spreadsheet here and just see if I've noted anything. Maybe I did. I don't know yet. I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah. This is all a little Hellraiser-esque.
A little bit.
We have such sights to show you.
This is again. Think about the time that it would have taken to set this up.
Oh, jeez, I don't. Criminy sake.
He's got blood on his ass. Got blood everywhere. And again, how do we trigger the video?
It's motion activated.
I mean, it's creepy.
Yeah.
And I like it. Is he like some kind of Native American? Is that...
He's got that feel to him, yeah.
I don't know if they say.
I'd have to grab the character's name, then didn't think of a bio on the actor somewhere.
Yeah.
He's not in the film that long to take that much effort.
Sure.
I'm already feeling like this film plays a little bit better on the second try around, because I have more perspective on
okay,
who's setting up the traps and what their mentality is, instead of carrying out the Jigsaw thing, as we find out later on. He's not the one directly setting things up. Amanda's more the forefront of fashioning these traps now.
Correct.
She has a different perspective on things.
So, are you saying that when you watched it the first time, that you had the this game was unwinnable point of view and thought
no,
that it was...
I didn't. Okay. I didn't have that. But now, just looking at with that knowledge, I can see... It seems more interesting to me to see it, knowing what.
Sure. According to my notes, I don't have a specific timestamp.
Okay.
Just that obviously this one takes place after 2.
Yeah.
I feel like, despite this being extremely painful, I feel like you could get out of this.
It's not the worst that we've seen.
I mean, it's still pretty awful.
I mean, the lip thing is probably the most...
Because it goes through, like, his jaw, right? Like...
That's the way it seems. I don't know. I mean, the only part that really maims you is the part with the jaw there. Everything else, you can get stitched up and be fine.
I mean,
also, we get one not far much longer into the film that's a lot more horrific.
Yeah, there are definitely some things in here that are, like, pretty gross and awful.
Yeah.
Is this one of those, like, nail bombs?
There's some kind of explosion. I didn't quite pick up on what it was.
Oh, there's the one that was in his jaw.
Yeah. And this is Costas Mandalore? Is that him? Who has a bigger role later on?
I think so. I'm not sure. You're saying the actor's name?
Yes.
This guy?
This gentleman, yeah.
I don't know.
Detective, what the case?
Hoffman.
Hoffman, yes,
Hoffman.
yes. I haven't been avoiding spoilers. Stuff shows up somewhere. Okay, I'm aware of some things that are going to happen later on.
What I didn't realize until...
I need a little foresight into things. I've read a couple synopses. I know he's not much in this film, but he's in the next couple.
Yep. And this
black leader, yeah.
The black cop, Rig, I think his name is, was actually in either the first one or the second one.
He's in the second one with the SWAT team. Right. He doesn't look the same, though.
He doesn't, but it's the same character. And he's actually the... spoiler alert, he is... the main participant in the game for part 4. Okay. So now they come after him. Yeah. So, which I didn't put together. I was like, oh, it's just another cop? That's weird. And then...
Well, I was reading that I guess it was very difficult to get him scheduled to shoot on this film because he was doing something else at the time, but...
Which person? Hoffman?
No, the black gentleman.
The black guy, okay.
So I
don't know his name.
He had a tightness in the schedule and whatnot, but they were able to get him in for one full day and shoot all the scenes for this film. Of course, a one shoot day.
Huh.
So they squeezed him in, so possibly why he doesn't look quite the same as before, as they couldn't restyle him because he was working on something else.
Something else, sure. But she's had a rough career here, right? Yeah. I mean, like, chasing the Jigsaw. Yeah. I mean, that would be so terrible. Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah.
To see something in the mirror, like, behind you. Oof.
Yeah. It was up to this point. It was a really nice... I really like the whole open. I like how they were setting her up in this whole thing. I was really starting to gravitate towards her. Again, the Michelle Pfeiffer look kind of just has something for me.
Well, okay, yeah.
So it makes her very appealing on
You've
screen.
got a type? You've got a type.
She doesn't... She has a very strong look to be very appealing on screen. And I was just liking how they were setting things up. I think the film so far, already looks a little bit more polished than the last one. A little more subdued in a certain way, and how they're lighting things and shooting it.
I don't understand how she could be watching a video and then suddenly it switches to live.
Yeah, someone would actually have to switch the input on the TV.
And she shoots up her own wardrobe here. She can't wear that dress tomorrow. It's got a bullet hole in it.
Just dump it at Goodwill.
You think they'd take it with a bullet hole in it?
Dump it put it in the dumpster if they don't want it.
Well, okay.
I don't care. They don't have to give you anything for it. No text right off for bullet hole clothing.
You're right. It would literally have to change the TV input.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
The piggy?
Piggy.
Yeah, this little piggy went to the closet.
Miss Piggy. Yeah, this whole contraption is just horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
The acid, too.
Yeah, the acid is... It's almost like too much. And
Maybe.
I shouldn't say that because... I don't know.
This franchise just doesn't know the meaning of too much.
Right, and typically I don't either. So... Like,
but as I say, watching this a second time around, you see a lot more retrospect in the mentality of who's setting up the traps and why.
right. She's just being
So,
a dick and not
malicious.
right.
Sadistic.
And interestingly, though, the Billy doll talking on the TV has Jigsaw's voice, which means that he recorded them.
He recorded them, but he obviously, which is all good. It still shows that, in retrospect, they're still in tandem setting things up. But because Amanda is going to be the one physically doing everything in the scenario here, Jigsaw doesn't know that she's doing these.
Right, she's gone a little rogue and made it slightly unwinnable.
Right.
I spent like a long time thinking that her first name was Carrie. Like,
right, yeah, usually
like Carrie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, either way, it's like usually you say Detective Carrie, that's usually the last name.
Right. But I don't know if they had used the name Detective Carrie at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. You just mentioned it in the commentary for the second one, so that's the only thing that kept in my head.
Which I learned when I watched these recently.
Mm-hmm.
But especially there, because he calls her Carrie, but he doesn't say Detective or Mrs. or whatever.
Right.
So if you don't have the subtitles on...
He typically uses the first name.
Right. If you don't have the subtitles on...
Right.
You just assume that her name is Carrie, like, you know, the old Stephen King story.
Now, my only question is, why can't she just lift the thing out?
The beaker out of the... Yeah.
Out of the harness?
Right. I don't know. And, like, dump it out.
It doesn't really get you around the acid part of things. But...
Well, you could still dump out most of it, and then only...
Sure, yeah.
Only have to do your fingertips or something.
So.
I mean... You're right. I see... This would be so painful. I do like the coloration on the acid, like turning red gradually.
I mean, we still have these sickly colors, but I think they're just a little bit more dialed in than the last film was when they were running around the house and everything. They're not nice light and shadow here. They're not like burning your eyes with the color in the film. I think it's a lot. I just think that this film just has a lot better cinematography than the last one was. Even though it's like the same people making it, I think it just had a better hit on them. The second try around with Bousman and whoever. I think it's the same DP from the first film. I'm not sure, but
oh, good lord, look at that!
Oh, Christ!
I mean, that's nice. It's a great visual.
Yeah.
Her guts all spilling out now.
And like I texted you, it's like, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, you did. You texted me when you watched it the first time.
Like, I'm just starting to really like her. And I was like, oh, fuck. But then I was like, there's probably some convoluted flashback sequence somewhere they could do something more with her.
Sure.
Who knows? So, hope is not always lost.
I actually really like this scene.
Okay.
Because you assume, on first view, that these two are married.
Yeah.
And that they're having some sort of marital problem.
Sure.
So when the swerve comes later on, it actually feels like
a little earned.
Yeah, I mean,
earned, yeah.
This is good misdirection, I think.
Again, another thing that works stronger in retrospect to kind of appreciate more as it goes along. So.
Is his tattoo backwards?
Does he have an accent? Or no? Because that's a UK flag.
I can't... It looks like his tattoo is like a mirror image. Which is weird, because either it's a real tattoo and maybe they did that so that you couldn't... You know what I mean? For like...
Yeah.
To disguise it or whatever, so... For copyright
I don't think we see much of him more in the film after that. So
I don't think so either. But
maybe a flashback here and there, but not enough to.
But if they put it on him,
I'm just saying we won't have a real chance to reassess it later on. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, my point was just if they put it on him, put it on him the right way. So it means that it's probably real, and they probably distorted it. So that's stupid.
I mean, They never. If they wanted to cover up, you can do makeup. They do that all the time. They cover up tats.
Sure. Yeah, they do makeup.
Yeah.
So she's like a badass doctor.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah. It's a quick setup to show that she's
Kind of a take charge character.
take charge. She's a little bit more advanced thinking than some of the other doctors here in the ER or whatnot. So she's a top of the line person.
But I also think it sets up credibility that she is very knowledgeable in the medical field.
Right.
She looks very familiar. The doctor, Dr. Lynn. Well, Lynn is her first name. But I can't place who it is that she looks like. Is that a Rolex? Ooh, I can't tell. I'm not a watch guy. Are you a watch guy?
No, I haven't had a watch since high school.
I know people that are like super duper watch people, and you know they can just at a glimpse figure out which version it is, what model, how expensive it was.
I kept losing my watches in high school, so I just stopped.
I just don't like having things on my jewelry or whatever.
Always wanted to have it. You get that weird patchy area, and because it gets all moist and everything. It's like, no, thank you.
Right, or you get the suntan around it, or the band catches your arm hair, and just fuck all of it. I don't want any.
No more. Once I had a cell phone, it didn't matter.
Yeah. What can your watch do that my cell phone can't do? And now, I guess with the Apple Watch, everyone's going to be like, blah, 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 Apple Watch. And I'm going to be like, okay.
Yeah. That old Casio wristwatch.
There you go.
And a whole ton.
Oh. Our piggy strikes again.
Even the editing and those little flash frame things, I think they're just a little... They're I don't know, because I'd commented before, they're a little... I felt like they were a little overdone in like the first two films. I think that this one it's just dialing in some of the technical aspects. I like
quicker.
A little better. Yeah.
Like it's a shorter,
right?
More succinct.
They're not getting too insane with it. It's just like, okay, they get to the beat, should convey what's happening and move it along.
Is this the same warehouse?
This doesn't look the same, no.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be the same, but I feel like it's not. And not to say that this is the warehouse from 1 and 2, but I'm thinking it's like his lair. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his workshop.
Yeah.
And here we have Amanda, who has been the culprit this whole time, apparently.
Yeah, I mentioned before that I thought hadn't seen her. I think she's actually in the remake of The Blob from '88.
Oh.
Like way before stuff, so...
I've only seen that one.
I recognize her a whole lot stronger in this one from that.
I only saw The Blob once, and it was probably before the clock turned 1990, so at least 30 years since I've seen The Blob.
It's from the same director as The Dream Warriors.
Okay.
I think Darren, because Chuck Russell and Frank Darabont were they're still involved today. They were involved back then. I think he was involved with that. I don't know.
Really?
Well, Darabont did have a writing credit on Dream Warriors, too. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
That's why I thought you brought him up.
Yeah. So up, down, and around all over the place. So those guys have been tight for a long time.
He does have this way of playing games with people that have maybe once interacted with him or wronged him.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I've seen this, enough, I'm like starting to look at like the drawings on the side of the wall.
Okay.
Like, are they like templates of, future or past games? Are they... Some were like drawings of body parts. So, imagine it's...
Sure.
What can we do to this body part with this trap kind of situation? That's always fun. I was trying to read his pulse ox over there. I can't... Did they just put numbers up there, or are they real? I do appreciate his distaste for no bedside manner, because I feel like there are doctors who really don't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I get it. From a doctor point of view, you can't get necessarily an emotional attachment to everybody.
Right.
It really has to be this, professional relationship.
Yeah.
Right. However, if you're telling somebody that they're going to die, I feel like you need to...
A little empathy.
Right, a little. I could never be a doctor.
All right.
I mean, and I think they wrote this fairly well,
Right.
that she's not necessarily capable of, she's not
assessing his situation.
Yeah, she's not his oncologist.
Right. She hasn't read his file. She hasn't done a proper examination or anything with x-rays or Lord knows what. I mean, the layman probably look at him and probably say, maybe a couple weeks, I don't know.
Right. I mean...
If you're lucky.
I mean, a couple hours, really, is what he's in
In reality.
I think. I mean, I don't really know.
Oh.
I'm kind of confused, but I think it's only a couple hours.
There's a lot of business that apparently happens in these couple of hours between this film and apparently the next film, too.
Yes.
So, like I said, I read a little ahead.
There's a lot happening right now in this point of time.
This is a big fucking warehouse.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I
like
can't...
fucking...
Well, it's like a meat packing plant or something.
Like 12 games going on at the same time.
Yep. And it really...
secret corridors and passageways.
It really begs the question of how did they think this through?
Yeah, because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that apparently... subtle beats that they set up in this thing that aren't part of this story, but they're part of tangential stories that they're going to later do.
Right.
So, that 52 weeks are doing a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how...
Someone's got that big board, they're mapping something out over here and put some string over that way.
Uh-huh.
Or Danny Glover in the first film.
That's kind of what I was
writer's room.
thinking, is the writer's room with giant, like, dry erase boards and, like, this big timeline of overlapping stories. Which is kind of how I envisioned doing this documentation on my... Yeah, I was like, man, I gotta have charts and graphs and... little headshots of the characters that I could move around, like when the FBI is going after the mafia.
Like Doc Brown had it easy in Back to the Future 2. It's like, oh, here's just a line, here's another timeline.
Right.
Kind of, you got like 7 timelines going on right now. You can't keep track of this shit.
Yeah.
Ain't no one know what's going on.
Which, when you get to the end of 4 and you realize that 2, 3, and 4 all being directed by the same person and co-written by the team, and like 2, 3, and 4 are their own trilogy, where it actually all kind of comes together, and it might not be good, but it comes together. I agree with you about these transitional wipes, where it goes from one scene to another, and again, here's the shell game where... Like, every single time there's a scene change, you have to ask yourself, when is this?
Exactly. Exactly.
Is this now? Is this then? Is this in the future? Is it at the same time?
Is it playing in reverse? I don't know.
Right. I mean, wake up in a box, that's kind of creepy, right? I like it, though.
What's in the box?
Oh, no. More than just a head this time. This is the drunk driving one, right? Where he's,
oh, yeah.
yes, okay.
The kid gets killed by a motorist. Yeah.
Correct, okay.
I guess there was the intent that he was supposed to be driving drunk, but I guess they edited it out of the film by the end of it, so I don't know. Doesn't make it...
Well, he just said drunk in the...
Okay. I was reading things. I got confused.
Okay. Well, it's entirely possible that...
And again, there's a separate director's cut with slightly different plot beats in it, or extended plot beats, we'll say. And
this is the unrated, so I don't know. It's entirely possible that they don't ever mention drunk again, and that they accidentally left it in. Or
I was reading through trivia and stuff like that, so probably muddy things up a bit.
So this one is the one where I really started to question how long did it take to set this thing up?
Right.
Because you are not only giving people time constraints where certain things, like timers on blocks.
Right.
But there are so many moving parts of if this part happens, then the next thing falls into place.
Right. As we see, Amanda and Jigsaw, they're monitoring things, but they're not actually like flipping switches and doing stuff like that. It's almost like like I said, maybe motion sensors or God knows what they're doing to trigger off this, that, and the other thing for a door to close. I mean, we see a couple of triggers with like the piano wire, what the case is when he's opening doors, but yeah. There's a lot of moving mechanisms that seem very overly convenient to be just hitting the beats when they're supposed to.
Right, like it's far too convenient, really.
Right.
This is a nice little touch of him drinking and pretending to confront.
Yeah.
And how it develops his character here, where he has basically not neglected the daughter, but taking out, maybe not being as a dad to the daughter as he should be, because
he's too wrought over with pain and distress to really kind of be present as a father.
And seeing him get angry at her.
I mean, I do like in the scene that he doesn't kind of like just start shouting and whatnot, but he's definitely upset.
Which to, the average viewer is completely like, it's a heat missile on this guy for...
It's a heavy... He's heavily just
like
desperate and sad and depressed and everything.
But that makes him a not likable character. Right. You know what I mean? So it is interesting that we've set up him to be like the person playing the game. I feel like you should probably root for to win.
Right.
Yeah, I would think.
As I went through the film, I kept feeling like, okay, is this thing going to turn around where like Jigsaw makes him the bad guy in the situation, that he's the one who's been responsible for bad things happening in some way?
Sure. But when you set it up and scene one is him being a bad father to the one he's got left.
Yeah.
And making her feel like shit when it's really,
right.
Like
and
not coping
sort of
well.
Implying that there's been some sort of break off with the wife that we get filled in at the end.
Sure. So they set him up to be a not likable character.
Right.
With what end? To make you like him as he progresses through the game?
Right. And I mean, yeah, I get it. It's all morality play for the guy and all this type of stuff. It's like, are you going to turn the corner and be compassionate, or are you going to continue to be vindictive and stuff like that? So they swing it back and forth.
Right. Yeah, and I guess, okay, so to that end, I feel like maybe they do have to show him being vindictive to see what we're trying to get to cure him of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is Jigsaw's general game. It's like, okay, you don't appreciate what you have. Let me show you something
that's worse.
Worse, but also he's with a lot of stuff he's putting this guy through is not about him learning to appreciate what he has. It's more about just a revenge tale.
Sure.
So it's
which kind of plays into the Amanda
right
setup.
Yeah. So it
works.
It requires our detailed examination, so we'll pick up on his one beat at a time.
I do like that he's in a bathrobe, though. That makes me happy.
He'll be caught in a trap. Might as well be comfy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if I'm at home, I'm in my pajamas. And sometimes when I'm not at home, I'm still in my pajamas. I don't know why I'm not in pajamas right now. Correct comma usage. I like it. Somebody's watching me. You're putting yourself in this situation. You're like, I can't even imagine what it would be like to, wake up and have
not know where you are.
Right. What's coming around the corner?
Yeah.
Why are people presenting me with notes and torn photographs? I don't know. I like it.
Very creepy.
It is. I think it's a good setup. Amanda does look, in my opinion, older here than, and now I get that, as far as the game goes in 2, she was supposed to look slightly more disheveled and whatever, but and I guess, to your point, it's been long enough that her hair has grown out.
Right.
So, whatever that means. They also really put her in a lot of makeup in this one.
Yeah.
Like, they really tried to, beautify her.
Make her look really... And she does appear very attractive. Yes.
I'm just not a makeup person.
Yeah.
I actually think she was more attractive in the second one with the shorter hair and no makeup or less makeup than here. She looks like she's going to go out on a Friday night and go to the bar.
Yeah. She doesn't look like someone holed up in this fucking dungeon of a place.
Right. Who just got done setting up a trap.
Right.
That required 92 steps.
Running around in a pig mask and everything.
Right. We did kind of gloss over the collar that was put on her, which has 9 shotgun shells.
Okay, that's
around.
what it was.
Yeah, it's basically 8 or 9 guns pointed at her neck.
Jesus
which
Christ, yeah.
is terrifying and extremely simple if you can figure out how to make it work, but
you have to wire it with some sort of electronic spark or whatnot to go off to ignite the gunpowder.
Ooh, stupid cunt. My fave. It's so much better if you're going to call somebody a cunt to put some sort of insult in front of it.
Yeah. It's like, did Amanda or Jigsaw go to MIT or something like that to learn sort of engineering degree?
Well, again,
the $5 billion fortune. Some engineering degree. Did you work for NASA or something?
I mean, at the very least, tell me you went to a trade school where you could learn to weld. Because, how do you even?
Conceive of these ideas to construct this.
And they only get more elaborate as they go. The chains hooked up to you is. And hooked up to a bomb. That's fine.
That's pretty primitive enough.
You attach the gun to the door on in 2.
Yeah.
You can make that work.
But with the detective carry thing, that takes a lot of fucking effort.
Well, right. None of those were household items.
Yeah.
Household items glued together.
Right.
I had that old metal erector set thing when I was a kid.
Sure.
That, you know, I remember there was
Didn't know what the hell you're doing with that.
No! There was a version of it, I think, that had like a motor to it that you could like figure out and make like a robot or something.
I had some weird little things like that.
But, I mean, come on. You're telling me that Amanda, a former drug abuser who has gone to jail, is able to construct... And even if she didn't think of it, she either had to put it together or
Someone's got to draw blueprints or something.
Had to rig it or whatever, which we now know later on gets... The waters are muddied in that department as well. But obviously Kramer's hole up here in the hospital bed.
He ain't up on his feet doing shit.
Right. He didn't hang up Detective Carey. So, and again, we come back to, you know, later on that she had additional help. So that works. But still, the construction of it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I actually kind of thought that he was dead right here when I saw it the first time in the theater.
Potentially, yeah.
And here she is trying to reason with her. Huh.
Yeah.
And Amanda's kind of caught in this like emotional state too. That's fairly well done. Yeah. I mean, she's like, you know, she loves John.
Right.
Like it's a love story.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
father-daughter type of dynamic.
At the same time, she's insane.
Yeah.
And she does this.
Truly is.
This like this. I don't want to say bipolar because that's not what it means. No. You know, the idea that she can oscillate between this really sad, loving family member character to insane woman. Like, I think she's a pretty good actress.
Yeah.
Oh, here's old bathrobe again. You're right. How big is this warehouse or lab or...
5 square miles.
I mean, it's like an Amazon sorting center here.
It's all underground. There's no windows.
Actually, I think in the later one, it turns out that it was like a meat packing plant or something.
Yeah.
But you mentioned in a previous one about how you're, as a screenwriter, you weren't necessarily capable of reverse engineering.
Right, the
mysteries. But you also have to reverse engineer all of this trap.
Right.
Like, logically, pragmatically, when they're building it, you have to start at the end and work your way.
Right.
Here we've got some CGI breath, I think.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually a warm set, so they had to...
It wasn't like The Exorcist, where they really...
Oh, hell no.
They really actually made the room cold.
I'm sorry, William Friedkin is a sadist, man.
Yeah.
Straight fucking up.
Yeah, that's...
There's some stories on that one.
I don't know if we're going to do The Exorcist, but...
I'm planning to eventually do a review, but there's so much goddamn research done to doing that goddamn movie. Yeah, I watched 2 versions of that movie before I can do anything. Yeah, you came up with the name for it before, because she's got the thing that's covering up the bottom half. We're talking about with Linnea Quigley in Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, well, the prop is called a merkin.
That's what it was.
Which is
she's wearing one of those.
Which is a
nether region covering.
Well, the merkin is actually like a it's like a rug or a wig, so to speak. So it's almost to give people with no hair to make them appear that they have hair.
Okay.
So I guess in theory you could really like overhair it, and then you're not actually seeing
very 70s looking.
You're not seeing any actual genitals. You're just seeing a pube wig.
But regardless, then they applied that onto her for this.
Question: if John Kramer is on his deathbed, when does he have time to research all of the backstory on all of these people?
Right.
Like, how does he know this?
Right.
And maybe that's me being nitpicky, but I feel like there's a lot more focus on being visually interesting
Mm-hmm.
in this franchise
Sure.
than there is telling a logical story.
Practicality.
Yeah,
of everything,
practicality, yeah. And even if, my original argument that the timeline doesn't add up, even if it does, there's still
a lot of fucking legwork.
There's still the practicality of creating the traps, like we were just discussing,
Right.
setting up the games, the physical creation of them.
This would take months.
Right.
For one person who's physically able to do all this, yeah. I mean, granted, being if it's some sort of meatpacking facility, yeah, a lot of stuff built in, but still, when we get to the more elaborate contraptions, I mean, I mean, even if you had a team of people, you're not doing that over a weekend.
Exactly. So, there's people like me who overthink things, and it kind of takes me out of the scene. And granted, most people are just going to watch somebody die.
Sure.
They go to the movie theater and they're like, "Oh, show me the trap."
Right. I mean, if you took all this stuff, just isolate into like a short film type of thing where you don't have surrounding large plot elements, you boil it down to just a scenario, you could bite into it a lot more because you're not dealing with John's had cancer, he's disabled, and she's out kidnapping people and setting up traps and engineering things and finding all this metal work stuff. It's beyond a logical buy-in.
Right. And so then I'm sure that there's people out there listening who are like, lighten up. It's just a movie. Go and enjoy yourself. And you know what? I completely agree with that. However...
I don't have the problem when I'm watching it, but as we're discussing things, we bring this up.
Right. We're trying to bring an analytical fan view. Man, getting your skin stuck to metal.
Oh, it's like Christmas Story.
Yep. It's just like that. And I've had it happen to me just refilling ice cube trays.
Sure.
You fill the ice cube tray, you put your hand in the freezer to put down the ice cube tray, and your wet hand touches the metal shelf, and it sticks for a second. And you're like, ow! And that shit hurts. Yeah. Great visual here, by the way, of her covered in the...
Trying to think of a Mr. Freeze pun right now.
I was gonna go there, but
damn it, should have some set up.
There's one that we still have to get to. It's coming.
So much Arnold.
Have we covered an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie yet in our entire catalog? I feel like we have not.
We have not done anything Arnold. We will be doing it because
soon. A couple.
He's in Expendables for a hot minute there.
That's a great visual right there. Him like clawing at the lock, and great prop, by the way, of her iced over.
Yeah. I guess in creating that sort of prosthetic version of her, I guess there's some kind of rules that you can't have someone, when you're doing the casts, you can't have them fully submerged under the whole thing.
Yeah.
So they had to do like the front side one time and the back side another time.
Okay.
So it's a little thing they had to work around.
Like a candy mold, almost.
Yeah.
For those of you familiar with that.
Yeah. Safety protocols and such.
We are 49 minutes, give or take, in. And we have now seen a chainsaw earlier in this film than we saw 49 minutes into a movie that had the word chainsaw in the title. Just saying.
There we go.
This is the original one, yeah?
Yeah, Amanda's,
the Amanda Trap?
Amanda Trap, yeah.
As it's now known, the Amanda Trap. Now known by us, not the community. I imagine there's people out there who view this franchise as their favorite franchise.
Sure. Everyone's got to have one.
Right. You got to. It's. I'm interested to know what they refer to that trap as.
You think
Jigsaw called it a reverse bear trap.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something somewhere about reverse bear trap.
How menacing are those shotgun shells pointed at her face?
Yeah.
Like, ugh. Like she's wearing lipstick, for Christ's sake.
Right.
And here is the juxtaposition of her character, where she is basically insane.
Sure.
You know, I guess logically this one does kind of play out okay.
A little more standard.
Yeah. I mean, you know, even if it's not 100% accurate all the way through, I do give the folks that wrote these a lot of credit for being creative, coming up with reverse engineering, mystery
ideas,
type things, misdirection, creating these characters that are, I don't know, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like this franchise, even though it gets super ridiculous.
Yeah. We got a long way to go.
We do. It is entertaining. I think it's an entertaining thing. And here's now a flashback to the creation of the puppet, which I don't know. At this point, they still haven't given it a name, and I don't know how it got its name, Billy, but at this point, there's still no naming it. It's So, I mean, the way that they show these scenes, they integrate
the photography is very, very good match.
Yeah, but they integrate the timelines so, you know, like every scene could be a different time and place.
Right.
Which I actually think is mildly annoying. Only because you don't need to go back, you know, like carry the story forward to me.
I do agree that showing a lot of the stuff isn't particularly necessary. It's not really revealing anything, but I think it's just trying to show you much more of the progression of Amanda's story and how she gets from point A to point B and so forth.
Yeah, I guess, you know, this is the Amanda show. But, you know, here again, it's like we spent...
And at least it's like her flashback in a certain way, and to a certain degree.
But it didn't... The scene didn't start with Amanda and then cut to her flashback?
It started with Kramer and then moved into her, so it's a little...
Kabuki-ish, as they say.
Would have been nicer. Would have been more logical to show, like, okay, her time as a junkie, stuff like that, and how he captures her and brings her into the whole thing to see more, again, from the very beginning to how she goes through her arc.
They do. I mean, as far as you were saying about lighting and the cinematography, I feel like they do have the present day story here much brighter in rich colors.
Yeah.
And usually the stuff that's before is slightly more muted or, you know, kind of a yellowy tone or whatever. Especially in that last flashback.
Right. A lot more stark stuff.
But when you kind of... Well, again, now I'm kind of confused. Is the The other story with the guy going through the gauntlet,
right.
so
His
to speak,
stuff is a lot more high contrast, harsh.
and that's
visuals.
actually happening at the same time, correct?
Right. That's all concurrent with
All
this.
of that is happening
Simultaneous.
live,
Yeah.
side by side.
There's
Okay.
no playing with like the second film when they
Right.
thought it was concurrent when it was actually something that already happened and they're just watching a playback.
Which I guess is another good misdirection because now you've taught us that things aren't linear.
Right.
So when they are linear, it's a surprise.
Right.
Even though every other movie that most people go to see
Right.
are like,
Well, yeah, and it was like feeling when I was watching this, like, okay, you've already kind of pre-programmed the audience to expect twists to happen,
right?
to expect the unexpected. So it's like you're almost kind of like too on high alert to pick up on the subtle things where like you can almost figure everything out before the film reveals it.
That giant sign that's on the back wall back there with the arrow
Sure.
says fresh and frozen beef products.
Okay.
So that holds up.
Yeah, again, like the first film, I think the second film as well. They just got this actual giant warehouse to shoot the entire production, and so who knows what it might have been before they took it over and it got abandoned. So a lot of stuff might have just been stuff they had laying around. I figure, we'll just put it here and put it there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to take over an abandoned building, there's a gold mine potentially in there of props that you don't have to pay for.
Yeah.
God, I want one of these dolls so bad. Red Tricycle, though, to me, still is like Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
You know, where it kind of melts and breaks down in the room there. Oh, great scene.
But people don't have epilepsy watching this film. They're going to a fit right about now.
Great point.
Even though I said this is exactly what they should have been doing in the house sequence in the second film, instead of the bright, overly exposed, green, sickly-looking stuff, a couple flickering lights is a lot more realistic.
See how right now it's all muted and brown?
Right. It's
Like-
it's lifted black levels and everything.
Like, why is this different than in the hallway?
Yeah.
You know, it almost preconditions you to think that it does occur at a different time.
Right. But watching through this the first time, because we mentioned so much on part 2 where there was these weird low quality shots because they
Yep,
were
the inserts.
interspliced from the like a interlaced DVD cut.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened here. I think they mastered the whole unrated cut properly in high definition.
Oh, this is the guy. Oh, this is, I think, so gross.
Oh, yeah, the pig mutilation, or the heck you want to call it, the processing.
I guess that also adds up to the meatpacking facility.
Sure, yeah.
Which I don't think they reveal until the next one.
Okay.
But he looks like a judge.
Yeah, it's like, first I thought, oh, maybe that's the defense lawyer or something like that, but not far of a leap, the judge.
How did you get the possession, the toys?
Right, again. Amanda has to go around, kidnap all these people, kidnap him, steal all the kids' possessions, set all these people up in these different contraptions and everything, set up the kids' stuff in this inferno thing.
Yeah.
It's like a whole day's work.
At least. There is kind of a gauntlet scenario in part 5, which I really like that one. But that one doesn't involve new people every round. It's just new trap every round.
Okay.
So you could legit reverse engineer that and put the
Okay.
people in at the end, which is
Yeah.
the beginning. And oh my god. Like, I want to throw... I just...
Just no.
I how he's not aspirating on his own vomit right now. Ugh. Oh my God. I could watch people cut people's heads off all day long. But this? Oh my good God.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like rotten pig.
Oh yeah.
It's not even fresh pig.
Oh hell no.
I don't know if you've ever like smelled rotten meat, but holy Christ!
I mean,
and this is liquid meat.
Yeah, this is all the stuff you get processed out of the stuff you eat. Yeah, just I mean, talking about our main guy we're following here is like, okay, you're almost rooting for the guys who are trapped in the traps themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, he's just there's. I mean, yeah, you get the whole thing. Yeah, his kid got killed, and that would be a horrible thing for anyone. But that doesn't necessarily make him sympathetic to the audience.
Well, no, because I mean, granted, he has to be, kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, he's been a very self-loathing type of...
In order to have something to overcome in the game. But you're right, it's like, who am I really rooting for? Because you're not really rooting for Amanda.
Right.
You're not really rooting for this guy.
Right.
You have the most sympathy on the
doctor.
The doctor, but she's also like kind of unlikable.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the biggest babyface in the whole movie is Kramer.
Yeah.
Like, he's the one that you like because as a movie goer,
he's an engaging personality. Yeah.
Right, but after 3 or 4 films, you start rooting for Freddy and Jason and the bad guy.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're going to see the movie because you want to see what Jigsaw's going to do.
Right.
So Jigsaw's the hero.
It starts taking a shit from people who you could be sympathetic with and are trapped in a situation where they terribly don't deserve it, to being like, okay, we're just going to cast a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, like, why do I care about anybody in this movie?
Right. And that was so much the thing I was thinking, like, okay, this feels like a film where you're following... you're just following the worst people. It's not really... I mean, a protagonist is not by definition a good guy. It's someone who's proactive, moving the story forward. But you don't really have a hero to follow.
Correct. And in this one, this might be the only movie out of the entire franchise that doesn't have a main character policeman trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
There's
whether it was Glover or Wahlberg or... You could say...
Hoffman will be in the next one. Where...
I mean,
and actually Rigg is another...
I mean, and even you feel stuff for Elwes and Wanell and stuff like that when they're in the situation. Even when you start learning more about them, you still have a certain sympathy about what they're going through.
Yeah, but there's also people actively trying to solve the crimes.
Right.
So,
trying to break it down. On the chase or whatnot.
Right. This doesn't have that police effort.
Right.
Presence.
It doesn't have a counterbalance of a positive morality versus this much more darker morality, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, right now you've got the doctor being the most, heroic, I guess.
But even then, she doesn't really have much of a choice to do what she's doing.
Right, she's...
help them or you get your head blown off, so...
She's, heroic under duress.
Right. No one's being forced to do something that's morally honest or stuff like that. From their own free will. It's like if you took Seven and the entire film is basically John Doe, and you're not getting Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, you're just seeing this character go through his stuff,
killing
finding
people.
out his psychology and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it lacks the moral center that you really kind of need for a good balance.
Yeah, you have to have a balance. Now, the other thing, this woman, Dr. Lynn,
Yes.
Lynn, whatever her last name is,
Yeah.
is an ER doctor.
From what I could tell, yeah.
Yeah, so, she is potentially capable of doing, emergency services.
Yeah. Under high-pressure situations.
Right, trauma,
yeah.
right. What she is not is a surgeon.
No. ER doctors are not surgeons. That's something else that's someone else. You tantamount to triage in a certain way.
Right.
That's the most extreme example of that.
At what point would ER Doc Lynn have the knowledge of how to do a brain surgery?
Yeah.
Like...
neurology, stuff like that, yeah.
Like, come on. I feel like what they gave her too much confidence in what she's doing, I think, in this scene.
Right.
They could have played more to, I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And gave her character a little more of that back and forth.
Right.
The dichotomy of, I'm doing the best that I can, don't murder me.
Right.
But also, it's completely experimental.
Right. Give it more of an edge of something could go wrong at any point in time.
Right,
because she's not here with a full staff.
She's taking control here, like she's done this 100 times.
This is nothing that you would do. Any doctor would not do this alone.
Right. Or
they would have anesthesiologists and people maintaining his vitals and doing all these different things to help her out.
And a doctor, like I said, she's doing this as if she knows what she's doing and has done it several times.
Right.
She knows the steps. She knew what to prep. It's all a little too
clean.
Yeah. Now, visually, it looks great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the peel back and the skull underneath, it looks awesome. This
type of stuff tends to give me a little bit of a crawl here and there because it's a little too real, even though it's all fictional.
Yep.
The feel of it, all that type of stuff, just a little too.
And again, I could watch this
too much
on repeat all day long, but the pig guts and drowning in them in spoiled meat just makes me really want to Ralph right now.
I can't watch those ER shows, the docudrama stuff. I can't watch that. I can't do it.
Oh, I can. I love
passed out in health class one time.
Oh, no.
Just talking about anatomy.
Oh, no.
I had to go home.
That's unbelievable.
I just passed out and fell right on the floor.
See, I'm not that way. I can deal with
I'm a little less queasy than I was 25 years ago.
Sure.
I built up a little tolerance, but yeah, if I was watching this as a documentary, I wouldn't be able to get through it. I still couldn't.
I went 25 years ago when we were only 15 or so.
Yeah.
There would be late night. There would be channels that showed surgeries, and I have a memory of it. And it was 1995. I was on vacation, and it was late night, and there was this. I don't know if it was like the Learning Channel, maybe.
Sure, yeah.
And there was like an hour and a half long thing where they were doing a tummy tuck and then breast implant.
Sure.
Like taking tissue from the tummy and using it to create bigger breasts. Okay. And I'm 15 years old, and I watched all 90 minutes of it. And it was real. Like, it was a real surgery.
Jeez.
And they don't show these kinds of things on the Learning Channel anymore.
No.
But I was fascinated. I was like, oh my God, they had that like cauterizing gun thing that was like slicing through fat, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I've always been okay with this.
Okay.
it's, working in the movie theater and the little kid throws up his slushie on the carpet, I can't do it. I can't clean it up. I will also throw up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the smell. I don't know. That's the first appearance of John's wife. Sorry, we took this tangent.
I figure that's probably who it was, but they never really did address it in the dialogue in this one, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
No.
She becomes a major player later on as well.
People who are already dead this franchise become major players later on, so...
True.
Nothing surprises me.
I do love that you haven't seen some of them, and then as you go, you text me. And
I already find out about Carrie Elwes later on. That's probably a big reveal. I came across an article, I clicked on it, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't help myself, okay? It's a long way to go. I gotta get a little idea what the geography is going forward.
I still have. I stopped at 5, as we sit here right now.
In your prep.
In my prep, I've stopped at 5. I need to do 6. Maybe I'll work on that this week.
Mm. It's very interesting facial reaction she has with all this.
Well, again, it's that juxtaposition of loving family member, and then we go over here to she's gonna cut herself.
Oh yeah,
and because she's crazy and mentally ill.
Right. But it's almost like
what a kit this is too, just to be mentally ill, right?
And there's her hairstyle from the second.
Even a little shorter.
So at least the hairstyle at least gives you a little sense of where things are.
Yeah.
Placing it there. So. But yeah, this has got to be a wig on this one.
It does look bad.
Yeah, it's not terribly hot.
I feel like in 2 it was her real hair.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Just she's shorting it down and then. Again, however much time it took from the end of shooting the second film until shooting the third film, I mean, her hair grew out almost like a year's worth.
And that's another thing is I don't know if because they wrote them as a trilogy, maybe 3 and 4 were shot simultaneously. I don't know.
I haven't read anything regarding that. I didn't read much.
Yeah, I tend not to read stuff like that. I don't know, but
I don't know.
it is, I feel, fairly logical that he would want to create some kind of protege.
Sure.
I think that's an inherently logical idea for most people of his ilk.
Yeah. Now, so as she said in the first film, when she's being talked to by Tap, that he changed my life.
Right.
She admits that straight up when there hasn't been anyone since then that's said that. Most of them are freaking dead or left for dead.
Sure.
But
is this where we find out the reveal that she was actually the one doing it?
Yeah, doing the capturing.
Because as it stands in the first one, you're watching part 1, you assume that it's Zepp wearing the pig face coming out and getting all these people.
Yeah, it should have been.
Because it was his game.
Right. That starts to make it a little foggy.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to start thinking about this. Like, I get that she's helping him prep. So she was in on Zepp's game too, but wouldn't Zepp have to... Well, I take that back. What if these two set it up, and then he gets a hold of Zepp and says, all right, here's the scenario that's going to play out?
Yeah.
Great makeup here, by the way.
But to slightly bet the question, okay, if if Jigsaw had Amanda from the beginning here, why would Zepp even have to be monitoring what was happening in this room at the entire time he's holding captive Gordon's family?
Right, where was Amanda during the events of 1?
Right. I mean, Zepp's only thing to know what was happening there is to know what if Gordon was going to end up killing Adam. But that's easily something that could have been phoned to him or something like that. It was like, okay. So.
Do you recall what was Zepp's actual mission? It was to capture Gordon's family?
It was basically to use Gordon's family as leverage for Gordon to end up killing Adam. To go through his game. If Gordon didn't kill Adam by 6 o'clock, your family will be killed.
Okay.
But I don't recall that there was anything holding over the head of Zepp. There might have been. It didn't really become a major plot point.
Yeah, I don't recall.
I mean, he did say, I think he said stuff like, I don't have a choice in it, but I don't really recall what his consequence was going to be.
So does it put him to sleep, or because I feel like
it seems like okay, it's gonna
like how would he know
sedate him to a certain degree, but he's probably not gonna be completely out.
I always just wondered how did they not see him breathing?
Right.
Like in the dark, he could breathe freely.
Mm-hmm. Nice how they're playing, again, that sort of ending music from the first film.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is the starting of the game here in sort of a bookend. Retroactive bookend.
Retroactive, right. That should be the name of the franchise.
Requires the invention of new phrases here.
Retroactive bookends is a saw tale.
But yeah, I mean the whole thing of her being a cutter, okay, that fits being an ex-junkie, stuff like that. Another way to cope with whatever your psychology can't handle.
I do kind of like that beat there where she puts the ring back on and smiles, like she's perhaps appreciating her marriage, which we assume is to the guy that we saw with the bad tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying that she knows how to do brain surgery.
Yeah.
She's almost treating him like a lover, which is weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it's very peculiar.
Like it's ambiguous enough that it's good, you know? Mm-hmm. And here we get the idea that she is so mentally unstable that she's not capable of playing the game without utilizing her own agenda.
Right.
Because I want to say here, coming up, doesn't he actually say to Amanda that the doctor did what she was told, now let her go?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that does end up happening.
That's what I thought. And here's another interesting little tidbit. A fill in the gap.
Mm-hmm.
Which, ugh.
This is not the last time we get this with its character.
The With Wahlberg?
Oh no, I was thinking Adam. There's another.
Okay.
There's a fill-in with Adam.
There is a fill-in with Adam. Oh, this might be it, actually. This is the fill-in with Adam. Okay. This isn't the Wahlberg fill-in.
No, Wahlberg gets out of the room, and then that happens.
That might be in 4. Yeah. That they...
Well.
Okay.
There is more with Wahlberg later on.
In this one? Yeah. See, I don't even know.
Yeah, there is more.
And why would she help him?
It's very, very intriguing. Yeah.
Oh, by free him, she means kill him.
Yeah.
Right. Put him out of his misery.
Right.
Because she does not believe that the game should have any winners, even though he was kind of not really winning.
Or almost to the fact, like, these people have gone through the game and they haven't gotten to the level of appreciation that she had, maybe.
Okay.
And so, if you haven't appreciated what this guy's giving you, they're not going to take everything away from you.
So she's going to be jury and executioner.
That's my perspective on it.
Yeah.
There. Or maybe other people just don't deserve to have what Jigsaw gave to her, so I'm sure it's very, very complex.
Yeah.
Not to the detriment.
Above my pay grade, I'm sure. Yeah.
Not to the detriment of anything. I just feel psychological deficiencies, stuff like that, should be a complex issue to navigate.
By the way, I would still be throwing up.
Oh, well.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're soaked in that shit.
I mean, at this point, I would take all of my clothes off.
Oh.
I would be nude so that I didn't have to smell it anymore.
Yeah. Can I borrow your robe?
Oh, he's lost the robe. Yeah, I don't know.
You did? Oh.
Yeah, because I think he jumped in the vat of guts.
He took your advice a little bit.
And, this is well done, too.
Right,
Where the actual morality of the story here.
Right. I mean, the father feels cheated because he just didn't feel like he got justice for anything. But even if...
And the judges...
Like you said, yeah, I mean, regardless of how much justice I did, it's not going to fill in the gap of the loss of your son.
I kind of forgot about this whole
this
portion.
This sucker's...
Oh, he's fucked.
Oh, yeah.
And okay, let's talk about this contraption.
Holy hell.
Where did you come up with even the pieces to make this headgear?
Yeah.
Let alone the giant, Jesus cross that he's on, and the contraptions that are wired together on each hand and each foot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wired.
Oh, yeah.
Does she have an electrical degree?
Yeah, there's circuit boards and shit in there.
I wouldn't know how to do just the head trap. I might be able to make the cross.
Couple of wooden boards will do you fine.
Historically speaking, that's correct.
Yes. Get up with a couple nails to be fine.
I feel like this guy is somebody, or has been in other things. Like a young Andre Braugher.
Hmm.
And it took me 9 years to build. Just for this payoff. This payoff right here. I've never wondered that, actually.
No.
You gotta twist it.
I got a pretty good idea.
What's in the box?
I'm going to end up telling you a very easy way to get out of this shotgun situation. Just go to the other end of the box, pull the trigger, you fire off the thing with nobody in front of it, and you just take the key off.
Can you get to the trigger mechanism?
The problem is I don't think they showed the other end of the box to reveal that, so that's not an option.
I don't understand why you can't, like, go be on the side of the box, put your arm in, only your arm. Like, don't stand in front and put your arm in. Right. Stand on the side and reach your arm in. You could
duck down and just put your hand over top of you or something.
I mean, so we're going with the assumption that only the open end is only on the barrel side of the shotgun. So if he were just to, duck down, like you said, or kind of go around the corner and pull,
or do you not?
It'll go off, and I guess maybe it shoots your hand.
You could try finding something to cut the thing off. I don't know. It's just a string.
This might get me a little bit. Radial fractures. What do you call that when you can see the bone sticking out?
Compound fracture.
Compound fracture.
Oh.
Oof, radials are bad. Bad news. Yeah, jam something in the gear. He is just kind of standing there. At least the judge is... Like, this is kind of well done.
Fuck.
I mean, there might be a little more blood splatter than what's happening here, but overall, they're really doing a great job of making you feel uneasy. And it is kind of a frenetic editing here.
Yeah.
Which isn't to your liking always, but...
It's a little more digestible in this one. I don't think they're going quite as over the top with it as they did in the first film. A little more succinct with it.
Ow.
Oh.
Little CGI action there.
Yeah. It's not too bad.
Tom Savini would have figured out a way to make that work without...
I'm sure he would have for KBFX.
Yeah, the back end is closed, as you can see.
Fine.
But I still think he could duck down or reach in from the side.
Or hell, you could...
Like he's doing right here.
You could potentially, because he's got the string around his neck, you could try... Bear in mind, this is a situation where they're under extreme duress. So I'm thinking a lot more calmly and rationally than they could possibly do in the situation, but the guy's got the tape recorder around his neck. You could almost take the tape recorder, tie the thing off to the key, pull it down, fire
Well, he was able to undo it without pulling it. So
Right, still, but then he just blew the judge's head off because he wasn't thinking. So...
And I guess that's a nice little, beat where he undoes it, and as the audience, you take the sigh of relief, like, oh, that wasn't so bad, and then, boom, here's the consequence of it not being so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. And all of a sudden, after 3 minutes, he has empathy for this guy?
Yeah. After he
you know what I mean?
Head twisted around.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, he cares now because he got the key?
Ugh.
And the head, ooh boy. That's a cool visual with his head turned all the way around like that. Speaking of The Exorcist, with the head turning around and the cross and everything.
There's a little vomit earlier.
Right, I mean, we've got all the elements. I still want to know how he knows about all of these people. You know?
Yeah. I was trying to get a look at the sketches on the wall there. They look like they were...
Anatomy.
Well, it looked like there's almost like drawings of like screws going through the hand, like we're just on the contraption the guy was trapped in, we're just getting twisted around.
Okay.
I don't know. I grabbed like a second of it.
And they did a good job of using two characters that you feel like really shouldn't be married. But yeah, on the back wall there,
it kind of looks
like they're templates for what we just saw.
Yeah, some kind of twisting graphic or something.
And that's fine, but
yeah, I mean, it just
there's also
it's the logical set dressing
on the back there. It's like a bird and a fish and a it's not stuff that's. Oh, I was sitting wrong. Now my hand feels like it was in the rack. Where do you stand on Jigsaw being a murderer? Yes or no? Legally, probably yes, but I don't know, just as a generic... Maybe this is the real poll question. Is
we can throw a couple. We've done more than one at a time.
She's basically saying that he is a murderer because he's put the people in the positions. You could pull the Charles Manson theory that he didn't actually murder anybody.
Sure.
He just had other people do his bidding or set people up to do it themselves.
Right.
So is he a murderer? Yes or no? Make your choice.
But
There's the setup for the next 6 movies.
Yeah. But I mean, a lawyer could say reckless endangerment. You definitely have kidnapping in there.
Right, he's culpable.
In their death. Yeah, like the things with the hands. Yeah, so it's little pieces there. But
I mean, I think if you take the jury, the judge and jury out of it,
right,
and just your own personal
and the ethics. I mean,
he doesn't condone murder.
I just keep going back to a legal standpoint of how you would prove what avenue you'd go through to prove it. So,
I kind of see his point, though. He doesn't condone murders. He's never actually physically.
It's not his purpose to get to that point, even though some of his traps involve that vocabulary. Like you have to kill Adam by 6 o'clock, or else your family's going to die. So he uses murder as an incentive for people to do what he wants them to do. So he doesn't have a qualm about using the fear of death to force you to do something against your will. So
here's the scene where Amanda's not following the rules.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still kind of torn.
There we go.
Yeah, I was, without pulling up my spreadsheet, I wasn't real familiar with the which scenes happen in which movie because they're all so intertwined.
Right. Because there's I cut it like the Godfather saga where they put everything in linear chronological order. It'd be interesting to see that with this one.
They did that with Pulp Fiction also.
Okay, someone re-edited it.
Re-edited it, yeah.
Strangely enough, someone did the inverse for True Romance, which Tarantino wrote in a non-linear fashion, but Tony Scott put it in a linear construction. And there was a fan edit that went back to the original script and reconstructed the way Tarantino wrote it.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I haven't seen it, but I know someone did that years ago.
I would actually, I would like it more.
Yeah, because it almost starts at like the midpoint of the film, then starts flashing back to the beginning.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
It would be interesting, yeah.
I had forgotten because, like I said, when I watched these originally, 1 through 3 were the only ones I ever rewatched. Mm-hmm. So 4 through 7,
whatever, 7, 8.
4 through 7 I watched in the theater. 8 I watched at home. But it had been, double digits in years because it was once, perhaps opening weekend. And I had forgotten that Wahlberg actually, gets cast in films beyond number 2. Mm-hmm. And I was going back and I was like pleasantly surprised to see him in this one and again in the next one.
Yeah.
Because at this point, we are to assume that this is taking place...
Not long after the events of the second film.
Right, like hours?
Hours,
yeah. A day at the most?
Yeah.
Oh, the old bite on the leg trick. Oh, yeah. Punch a bitch. Not that I condone that in real life, but...
I don't know how she survives.
Yeah, that would be...
He smacks her like 5 times against this concrete.
Yeah, she'd be dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Your brain is probably spilling out of your skull right now.
Yeah. It really would have... I think it would have had a better payoff if she told him...
Yeah.
Here, that he was in the room with us the whole time before.
Yeah. Almost like goading him was like, you were too stupid to figure it out.
Right. You should have followed the rules or something.
Right.
Because I don't think he ever gets that payoff.
I wouldn't imagine so.
Like, I don't think he ever finds out.
They leave him ambiguous of what still happens after this, I think.
Yeah, they definitely leave this open.
Oh, that gets her.
That... Oh, look at that. Good makeup. Not necessarily accurate makeup, but good for what it is.
Yeah.
He's really good. I really like D-Dub.
Yeah.
And again, the flashback, it's like it's so taxing on the viewer, I think.
To keep up. Yeah.
That's always been my biggest complaint about these movies. As entertaining as they are, I'm exhausted after watching them.
Yeah.
Because, you're trying to...
I mean, this one's very heavy on drama, where the last one was a lot more... This one was
gore.
Focused on entertainment, the kind of visceral eye candy of sorts with the traps and everything. This one's being more character-driven in a certain way. And I think it is the longest one of the entire franchise at this point.
Right. And I think it ends up being the longest one, right?
Yeah, this one's about 113 minutes long, so about hour 53. The first one was just over 100 minutes, and the rest of them started going around 95.
Which is all they need. I mean...
Right. When they start focusing a little bit less on deeper character thematics, I imagine, are more focused on just getting the sizzle.
Yep. And again, there's no cop or chase or...
Right.
And so it really...
There's not a building momentum as you're getting closer to the third act. I mean, with the gun and everything, we feel like there's a heightened sense of danger here, but, you know.
And it's not to say that it's boring or slow.
No, it's just a little...
It just doesn't have that same... It's not the same type of movie as
Right.
any of the other ones.
Right.
Which, when you break it down and, you know, to Amanda's character,
Right.
it works,
Mm-hmm.
I think. You know, to Amanda, there are no rules, or rules aren't important.
Right.
So why should this movie follow the rules?
Right.
Why exactly does she give him a gun? You know what I mean? Like, if he's at the end of the mission...
You know, then Jigsaw's almost like, okay, Jigsaw, once he passed the final room with the twisty thing, he feels like this guy's journey is done. But obviously, Amanda's doing things to alter the complexion of the game, the direction of it all. But why she's choosing to do that, I'm still not sure.
And I think this is the part where we learn that, yep,
Yeah.
that he was actually the husband the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I don't buy, but whatever.
Yeah, like you said, they don't look like they click together.
And it's just kind of this Mexican standoff, you know.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody survive this room by the end? Oh, I guess so.
Yeah. Isn't that almost another up in the air cliffhanger idea?
Did he say this at the beginning of the movie and we missed it?
I think so. I believe he did.
Because if this flashback is revealing, you know, new evidence in the third act, I'm going to be really pissed.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think all the stuff was laid in there. But it was more presented as if he's talking to the doctor instead of Amanda.
Okay.
So it's cloaking your attentions in a way. Right.
And when he actually says it here, like, I feel like as a first-time viewer, and maybe since you were a first-time viewer recently, you can attest to it more than I can.
Sure.
But you're going through and you're thinking, something doesn't feel right.
Sure.
You kind of have that, you know, oh, this doesn't feel like the first two. It's not as good. But then when that reveal happens,
Right.
or when he says that your games were unwinnable,
Right.
it puts it into the perspective of
Right context, yeah.
right, and it makes it seem good, even
Right.
if it's not.
Because Jigsaw's games there's a reward if you get out of this. If you're willing to put yourself through what he intends you to go through.
But I'm still confused.
Right.
Because they were all his voice. So they were his games, not her games.
He was still complicit in going along with it, even after... Once he starts knowing that you're playing these games with no winning scenario, and you're being very malicious and vindictive and sadistic in meaning to have people lose their lives regardless of what they do.
And by
it doesn't
that,
do anything to correct it.
By that we mean nothing to do with Jeff and his game.
Right.
Because his game was winnable.
But the guy with the chains and then Detective Carey or whatnot, there's at least 2 examples ahead of time showing what Amanda's doing to twist his games into a way that doesn't fit with his philosophy.
Maybe adding the gun at the end to his, and also Dr. Lynn's shotgun collar.
But even with the guy with the chains, okay, if you got out of the change, this thing still blows up, and even then, the door was welded shut. There was no way to get out of it.
Right.
You're fucked no matter what. So Kramer ends up knowing, from at least those first two examples, she's going off in a path that doesn't align with what he believes. But then still allows her to keep going on with this stuff, setting up the traps against the way he wants it done. It's a little strange in that regard.
And what's beautiful is that Jeff doesn't know that by killing Jigsaw,
he's going to kill his wife.
The low heart rate will then ultimately kill the wife.
The wife is
directly linked.
Right, but I'm also saying the wife is now bleeding out, and she doesn't have the cognizance to
articulate
that to him.
And I don't know if them doing the I Still Love You routine is enough of a payoff for me to make either of them likable. Like, did they really, win? Were they taught their lesson? I don't know.
I'm not as sold on it, no. I mean, her whole problem is just the fact that the husband has been so emotionally wrought with all this stuff that he's not available to be present as a father or a husband, anything like that. So she hasn't really needed to overcome anything in that regard. It's him being absent from their lives is the problem. And I still don't entirely feel like the guy got seriously redeemed, because he took so much time to overcome things in these dire scenarios that still allowed everyone else to die. I just feel the moral arc doesn't quite get all the way to where it feels as earned as it could be. Because much more of the story is... The meat of the story is focused on John, and it's focused on Amanda here, and we get a little less of the people we're supposed to be a lot more empathetic towards.
Yeah, something is just off. It's just different. It's a different type of movie.
Yeah. I mean, we still get Jigsaw hasn't altered his philosophy or his mentality about things. But everything's just a little, like I said again, still allowing man to go off and corrupt his games the way she feels it should be done. Because even if she succeeded in doing what he wanted her to do with Dr. Lynn, she already went off and corrupted all the stuff with Jeff and everything. And twisted some of the stuff around with him, so...
There's the old Tom Savini trick. Looks good, too.
Yeah.
And there goes your wife, guy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, it's a great trap. I don't know if he'd be cognizant enough to push that button.
Yeah.
Boom. I do like this this aspect of it. I always enjoy those types of movies where there is no winner at the end, or
we'll end it with a sense of dread.
Sense of dread, or that the threat is still out there, that kind of thing,
Well, if you can see right through that keyhole, then she probably has all the air she could probably need.
That's a great point.
It's not It's not hermetically sealed.
Great point. And here's like a flashback as if they were going to end it right here. You know what I mean?
Right.
What a great visual that is. So, you know, if you were to close the door here,
yeah,
and just say, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little trilogy.
It's nice.
You know.
Still feels like it would end on a bit of an off note.
And interesting that Wanell wrote the screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, that flash at the end of all the characters,
right,
to me is like the bookend that says,
yeah,
we finished our story.
It's something you would do at the end. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's good. Did you, on the whole, you like this one more than 2?
Well, because again, the second one is very splashy and whatnot in terms of just like fun experience type of thing. This one's a lot more dramatic and character focused. So I was like, I like more of the technical qualities in terms of how it's shot and edited. I think they just progressed a little bit more and know how to photograph and do stuff like that. I don't see myself going back and rewatching this one very much. There's not a lot of entertainment value in it. Obviously, a lot of other people did because this thing made like even more money than the first film did.
Right.
Like over $140 million. But
like 1 is extremely rewatchable.
The first one I'll watch over and over again.
Yeah. But if you had to pick between 2 and 3 to watch again, you know, a year from now,
I would go with 2. 1 because it's shorter.
Okay.
That's one thing. And I don't know. At least 2, I feel like I could at least put it on in the background and get a little something from it. This one is like, okay. I don't know. Just like it's just not super entertaining in a certain way.
I do like the gauntlet aspect of it more.
I like the idea of it. Yeah.
I like
could have been executed a little bit more in terms of just being more empathetic with the right characters.
Right. I agree. But I think that the setup of the progression of, you know, like task to task.
Right.
I like that aspect of it more than I like the escape house aspect of find your way around and figure it out.
There's a certain film I was thinking about throughout the entire scenario there with the guy who lost his kid to a drunk driver. I was thinking about the Jack Nicholson film, The Crossing Guard.
Okay.
Because that whole thing, with your mortal enemy,
Angelica Houston. And I believe they were dating at the time or in an affair.
Strangely enough, they're like 50, 60 years old in that thing, and they got like a 10-year-old kid or whatnot. But
weird.
Basically, the entire thing is like, okay, Jack Nicholson's kid gets killed by a drunk driver.
Yep.
And that ends up being David Morris. And the entire story is like, okay, the guy gets out of prison, and now Jack Nicholson's on this sort of
revenge.
The same type of thing, basically. It's slightly revenge. It's dealing with the visceral emotions of the whole thing and wanting to kill the guy for the whole thing. But that's a fantastic film. I watched it on Netflix a couple years ago. I thought it was really damn good.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
The acting is fantastic and everything because, I mean, Jack rarely falters, and Morris is a fantastic actor too, so I definitely recommend that. But something like that, I felt like that film executed stronger in a certain way to deal with that sort of scenario and those dynamics of character and emotion, everything like that.
Yeah, I may have to revisit that one.
Yeah. It might have been directed by Sean Penn, I'm not sure.
Ooh, you know what? I think you're right, actually.
Maybe. I keep thinking that there was
You might be right. That sounds right.
I can dig it up if I can type properly.
Looks like this was
Crossing Guard
filmed in Toronto.
Written and directed by Sean Penn.
Written by as well.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, dog. All right, I'm going to have to revisit it.
Definitely hunt that down.
I'll see if it's still on Netflix.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago I saw it, but...
Things come and go.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of other streaming services. I might be able to find it.
Yeah.
All right. Well...
This one's all right. I think it does a lot of good things in terms of just like progressing more story in general with the characters. Really get a little bit more into depth and whatnot to develop things, but yeah.
I'm curious to know if everyone
it's more
thinks...
of a groundwork type of film that you have to... They want to do more with the characters and see where they can go with it, and if they're intending to end it or not. Probably not, because they were setting up subtle clues that will pay off later on.
Yeah.
But at least they're doing things to explore the characters and explain like why Amanda turned and joined with him, stuff like that. So it works.
Yeah, I agree. It works.
Works where it's necessary for the overall complexion of the franchise to move towards.
And I'm also curious to know where people stand on the is Kramer a murderer thing. So drop a yes or a no in the comment there.
Hit up our bookended polls there.
Yeah.
Not retroactive bookend, but bookends.
All right. Well, it may be a minute before we get back to this, but...
We got some other fare to entertain for the winter season, but we'll be back.
I assume we're coming back.
Oh, we will. Well, it's fine. I didn't buy this freaking Blu-ray set for nothing. we gotta keep chugging. But we'll find out where it lands in the schedule, guys. So, thank you so much.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.